All right, welcome everybody to our Monday night empowerment session. Tonight, we will be learning about how adaptogens can help support the kidneys and kidney health. We have a couple of combinations, and one in particular is phenomenal for supporting those kidneys. And as always, I love empowering people through education to take charge of their health. We're going to start off right out of the gate with hearing a testimony on blood pressure.
I want to share with you my testimony and the fact that, as Valerie has explained or is going to explain, that the kidneys are a huge factor in blood pressure. I was on blood pressure medicine for, I'm going to say the greater part of 15 to 20 years. And when I started taking my Vital daily and adding my adaptables with my Cinemate, because I would have crashes in the mid-afternoon because of adrenal fatigue, consistently after somewhere around 18, 24 months, I was able to get off of my blood pressure medicine. My body had healed from the inside out, and I got my kidney function back and my blood pressure under control. And it's a cool, refreshing drink. And when I get bored with drinking a plain Vital, I just add some either lemon to it or some lime with it and make my own lemonade. And I can't go a day without it. Keeping in balance is that important to me.
So Chris really did put a lot of attention to, doing proper food choices, lifestyle change, and she had to for having been on the blood pressure medicine for the 15 to 20 years. And she was absolutely diligent with her protocol, and Vital was a big player in that, along with the Cinemate and the Adaptable. And at points, she was taking multiple doses throughout the days. And as she said, it took a couple years, but with her doctor's approval, they weaned her off her blood pressure medicine, and she has not had to use that for years now. So, really neat and exciting testimony and testament to what the powers of our adaptogenic formulas can do. So, one of the things I want to look at is, are your kidneys trying to get your attention, and what does that look like? So there's multiple ways, and there's more ways in this, but these are some of the ones that people are most common that people will notice. One is, foggy thinking. They get a foggy head. It's hard to concentrate and pay it, be able to follow through with their thinking. Foamy or bubbly urine. And I don't mean just like bubbles initially, bubbles that stay once every you urinate. That's something to definitely pay attention to. That is underscoring that there's potential kidney support needed. Swollen feet and face. And it can be very, very painful for these people to walk and move. And that can tie back to needing to support the kidneys. Itchy skin. Absolutely. We see itchy skin show up, and we know that the skin is the third kidney. And whenever the kidneys are overwhelmed, they will work on pushing toxins out through the skin, therefore creating the itchiness. And it can also be created because there's not enough water as well. A foul breath. Again, the kidneys are part of the eliminative pathways. So when we cannot effectively and efficiently remove the toxins via the kidneys, then it will start to push harder on other areas of elimination, which are the lungs, the skin, the bowel. So it does not come as a surprise that the breath can get really just, make people run away. And then a metallic taste in the mouth. There's some unique shifting that goes on that can create that. And I've had people ask me this question over the years. But yes, that can mean that the kidneys need more support. Always being tired. Well, if you think about it, everything the kidneys are involved with, filtering the blood, how it ties back to blood pressure. The adrenals sit right on top of the kidneys, and when one organ is impacted, it's very common directly impact an organ that's right next to it. So there's multiple ways that this can tie in for getting tired, but it is not uncommon at all. Poor sleep as well has often been associated with it. And muscle cramps is another one. So a lot of people don't think back to kidneys possibly being tied to muscle cramps. So I thought that was a very important one to highlight. Breathlessness is another one. And again, if you think about how, if the kidneys can't function that well, how it can impact the respiratory system as well, like I was saying, because it's another eliminative pathway, then that also makes sense. I mean, it gets deeper than that, but that's the gist of it. So let's look at the kidneys and what they do. And I thought this was a fantastic basic explanation of how it works. So if you got blood coming in the kidneys, and remember the kidneys are part of our filtration system, and that's coming from the heart, from an artery from the heart. And then it is cleaned. The blood is filtered and cleaned by millions of filters. And I want you guys to realize the word millions, this is huge. And the word filter is something also to keep in mind for whenever we're thinking forward as to how which formulas to utilize. Next thing is your waste material is going to go through the ureter, and then it gets stored in the bladder as urine until it can be released. When the bladder is full, it passes out of the body. And now with this, before that, actually, I got out of alignment here, that clean blood goes back to the bloodstream. Again, once it's all collected, and then the bladder can dump it. So basically, the kidneys are removing waste and excess fluid. They're filtering the blood, where they're making that choice. We want to get rid of these toxins or these bacteria, these gases. We want to keep these nutrients, these clean things. And then it's also helping to regulate blood pressure. And not only that, it's going to help work with certain nutrients. It says calcium, potassium, and will also tie in with sodium, and of course your electrolytes and things like that. So one of the things I want to talk about next is the benefits of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is in our Sol Vital combination. Sol Vital is the formula that I always first reach for when it comes to supporting the kidneys. And one of the big reasons, actually every component in that formula, in my opinion, supports the kidneys in a beautiful, beautiful way. But we're going to highlight the chlorophyll aspects of it right now, because remember, we talked about filtering. And so let's look at what chlorophyll does. Chlorophyll is outstanding and has a long history of helping to counteract toxins. And I mean all kinds of toxins, whether they are in the foods that we eat, whether they're something we become exposed to topically, whether it's something we breathe in. It is just outstanding with toxins. It is known to also help deodorize and clean that bowel tissue. We use it because it helps to move some of those acids out and help bring bacteria back in balance. It helps with purifying the liver and cleaning it out so it can do its job more effectively. Because of its ability to balance out calcium, potassium, and challenge some of the acids, it is very good at helping to prevent kidney stones. It will help sores to heal faster. And these are things that have been documented over many years, and actually hundreds of years it's been known to do this. It helps to eliminate body odors. It helps keep bacteria from forming in wounds, whether you're using chlorophyll topically or ingesting it. It's very good to counter bacteria. It also works with nasal drainage, and it is phenomenal at alkalizing the body. And of course, chlorophyll is tied to the photosynthesis process that makes the green in our plants. All of Sol's products have tons and tons of plants. We're plant-based products. So we have got the opportunity to have lots of chlorophyll, but when you get concentrations of chlorophyll, here's what it does. And it also helps to improve anemic conditions. It's outstanding at helping with your iron content and supply for the body. I've seen it work wonders for sore throat, and I've used it a lot for over the years for mono. It's also very soothing when people have ulcers. And if you think about how it's alkalizing, and it literally helps to calm that area and make it less bother to it. When we're talking about catarrhal discharges, we're talking about old hardened mucus that has got acids and toxins in it. It helps to move those out. It can help strengthen or revitalize your vascular system in the legs. The reason being, because of its support for the kidneys and helping the blood pressure to balance out. And it also helps to reduce inflammation, and inflammation always results in pain. Anything that's alkalizing is very good at reducing inflammation, and chlorophyll is very good at alkalizing. So if we think it too about how often these people have got, I mean, how often do you know of a person on blood pressure medicine that one of their things they tie with it is a diuretic? Well, what they're telling you is that the kidneys are not being able to regulate things. It can also mean your lifestyle and things you're inputting in your body is more than what the kidneys can regulate. But Vital comes in and it helps to balance and support that. This is a fantastic testimony. A client of mine who I worked with, and this woman's daughter was born with PKD, but it wasn't diagnosed until she was a teenager. And at that point, her daughter did an outstanding job watching her sodium intake as she aged. And she's, let me think, she is in her late 40s now. So this was very unusual how healthy that her kidneys were, but she paid attention to stuff and she paid attention to her foods. Her goal was to never have to go on dialysis. When she came to see me, which was roughly about 9 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, we had the access to the Soul products. And so I did suggest that we use Vital, Complete, ProBio, Vertizymes, and Cinemate to support that. The mother is a retired nurse, so she's very good at all this. And she gave the nephrologist all the info, and the doctors could not believe that she wasn't taking any prescriptions, and her kidney function kept showing very little changes. They did end up accepting her for a transplant. And again, they showed them all the Soul products that we're using for them. And so it took 3 years being on the transplant list before she came up for the transplant. And they were just always blown away that, how impressive it was. And her actual only prescription they ended up adding in was something for blood pressure. And her goal was no dialysis. She did not ever go into kidney failure, and she successfully received her transplant in 2017 and is doing phenomenal. I love this testimony in particular because it showed the attention to doing what they could control before it created a need. Time created a need for her to have the transplant, and they were able to extend the life of her kidneys. And then once we had the Soul products, it just upped it even more, and keeping the doctors in the loop. This is just an incredible story. So let's look at the kidneys a little bit more and see what different types of products can get in and help support. We've just talked about Soul Vital. So we talked about the chlorophyll and why I like it. Well, I also want to talk about all the adaptogens in it and why I like it. Because remember, there are 6 adaptogens in here, and those 6 adaptogens help with stress. When we have kidneys that are not being able to regulate our blood pressure, or trying to work harder to get a toxic load out, or remember those adrenal glands sit on top of there and we have a higher stress, it will impact those kidneys. So having those adaptogens is going to be outstanding for help to regulate. And there is one of the adaptogens in there in particular, which is Jiaogulin, Jiaougulin, and it is renowned for its impact on blood pressure. And then, of course, we have our 4 plants that are very high in minerals. Minerals are going to be very alkalizing. And again, helping to alkalize will help the body to take toxins out. Now, often we have people that are concerned about or maybe dealing with kidney stones too. The Vital is something that I have used, but we also look at them adding some fresh lemon to it, because lemon added to it can help to break down some of those stones as well. So working preventatively or proactively whenever you have that issue, that is something that works very well. The Vertizymes become very important as well, because protein that's not broken down can have a big impact and be very hard on the kidneys. So Vertizymes, and remember, hopefully we're having protein at our meals. So having that in the meals throughout the day is very beneficial. And then using it at night before bed is going to tackle any of that hasn't been broken down. Anything we can do to lessen that strain and stress on the kidneys is going to be beneficial. Now, protein itself we're choosing can make a big difference on the impact on the kidneys as well. There is a lot of proteins out there that are very hard on the kidneys and creating a lot of issues. In fact, we could go into a lot of the itises and other issues that come about with proteins that we can't break down. But our protein is very good. In fact, this is a statement that was put out. It's talking about our protein that Sol put out, and it's talking about the studies are showing that because our protein we use in this comes from yellow peas, according to some studies from University of Manitoba in Winnipeg, Canada, that yellow pea protein might actually prevent kidney disease and hypertension. It says one of the chemists involved in the study determined that yellow garden peas protein lowered the blood pressure of rats suffering from polycystic kidney disease. And so this study suggested it could delay the onset of kidney disease in people suffering from hypertension or high blood pressure, while also helping that blood pressure be normalized and extend the life for those already afflicted with kidney disease. So now you can see why this is something that I suggested for the gal that had the PKD and was up for potential kidney transplant, why it was so beneficial. And then our Soulclear SI. A lot of people forget to think about this when it comes to something like the kidneys. If we remember that the yellow formulas, which are the Clarify, which means it's also working with filtering, working on our filtering systems. The Soulclear SI has got multiple plants in there that help in aid with that. And it can also help with filtering out infection and helping the kidneys to do a better job with that. So I've had multiple people that when they threw the Soulclear SI in, it did help challenge those types of infections. Another great testimony from a gal, and it's kind of interesting how it started. And I went ahead and used the whole testimony because of where it ended up with the kidneys. She was talking about herself personally, and this is actually the gal that does my hair. And when she had gotten up several years ago, she discovered she had shingles. And like I said, she runs a salon, and Shauna had given her a suggestion about using the AC cream on the shingles, and that she use the the pedicure chairs that she has at her salon and use it to do a foot soak. And so they put some baking soda in, the Clarify oil, balance oil, and calm oil, very minimal amounts, and then just soak her feet on it for the 20 minutes. And she was talking about how it actually was able to draw the pain out from where the shingles were. And remember, I've taught you guys how all those nerve endings and reflex points are in the bottom of the feet. Well, she was amazed when she drained the water because there was lots of black stuff in it. And like she said, she gives lots of pedicures and she's never seen bits of metal in it. And the water turned yellow. And so she was aware how much the soul was flushing things out. She had a friend who was helping her in the salon who had kidney issues, and her kidneys had been bothering her all day and felt like she was getting a kidney infection. So they did the same process using the baking soda, a very small amount, like 1 or 2 drops of the Clarify, balance oil, and calm oil. And what they found was it looked like 3 stones when they were done, probably just like some calcium deposits and stuff that were pulled out, had the black flakes in there, but it got rid of her pain, all from drawing it out through the feet. So this is so powerful to understand that you don't have to always go directly to the area to get the results. So let's look at the kidneys and possible emotions that get tied to the kidneys. And of course, we often relate, people reach back to this area and they'll talk about maybe they think they've got a back issue. It could be a kidney issue. It could be a adrenal issue. They could have all 3 going on, but this is where that pain generally is radiating from. So as we've talked before, there's many emotions that go with the different organs. And kidneys, we could be looking at, are we dealing with criticism? Are we dealing with disappointment? Have we been reacting like a little kid? Dealing with failure, shame, and fear. Fear is a big one. So it could be any of those. It could be all of them. It could be a portion of them. Fear is a big one that I see. And it makes sense when thinking of the adrenal glands sitting on top of the kidneys, because those adrenal glands go into fight or flight. And so the kidneys would go into a fear mode as direct result with that. So our courage blend is outstanding for utilizing with the kidneys. And it's just something that, if you think about having courage to step through when we have fear, it makes perfect sense. And so that blend is very nicely diluted with the carrier oils. And you could use that over the kidneys areas. You could put it on the wrist. You could use it on the bottoms of the feet. So before we have the courage, I would have lots of people that would use a minimal amount, and we'll explain why here in a minute, like 1 drop of calm, 1 drop of balance with a carrier for kidney stones for that pain. If you notice, or maybe if you look at the label on the courage, you're going to see the colors at top, the yellow, green, and blue. And because the green is the main one at the bottom, and then we have a little bit of blue, we know that both of those are in there along with some other essential oils. But either way, we can do calm and balance, or we can use the courage. So this is a great statement from Jennifer Pressimone, who is the formulator of our oil blends and sits on the board of NAHA. And this is tied specifically to stage 3 kidney disease, but I want to tell you, this should apply across the board to a lot of our kidney stuff. And this we're going to look at direct. It says essential oils, especially calm, can be beneficial. However, you need to use safety precautions with anyone with kidney deficiencies. Essential oils are processed through the body and eliminated via the kidneys. Anyone with kidney sluggishness or failure will have a harder time processing them. Make sure you use very diluted in the Solflex AC carrier and infrequently. For example, 2 drops in 1 ounce of AC cream, no more than 3 times daily. Also diffusing 2 drops 1 to 2 times daily. And this is, I want to make certain everyone had a copy of this because this is such good information. So very, very powerful. We can use them, but we want to make certain that we're diluted and paying attention for anyone that has got some kidney challenges. Water. I know we hear it all the time, the importance of water, but water really is important for our kidneys, for our blood pressure, for our skin, and all these things that can tie back to the kidneys. So I thought we would just do a little quick reminder of the importance here. It's going to help with ability to focus. Remember how we talked about that could be a sign of kidney issues. Helping with your blood circulation. Why? Because that helps the blood to have the consistency that it needs to be able to move around. It's going to help your adjustments or your structural alignments to hold better. A lot of people, if they go to the chiropractor and get an adjustment and they can't hold it, the Chinese have a belief in their system that they teach that water and bone structure goes right together. And I've seen it over and over again. People that are better at drinking water are better at holding their adjustments. Water helps to boost metabolism. It flushes out toxins out of your body easier, again, supporting that kidney. Helps to prevent constipation. Very important to get enough water to keep those bowels moving. Helps to deliver nutrition throughout the body and helps your mood. So yes, water for the kidneys, but it's for so much more. So just kind of think of it having multiple different benefits. Everyone knows how I like to talk about addressing the roots of a situation and an issue. And it really does create, much bigger of results. This is a great little blurb from something Lydia Ferrantino had to say. And she and I are absolutely like-minded in what we teach. And she was talking about her grandfather, who was 104 years old when he died. And at that point, the only medication he took was his blood pressure med, but he only took that when it was high. Otherwise, they instilled changes in his diet, made certain he exercised, got to bed early, drank lots of liquids, and had a regular, consistent intake of whole plants. Again, it was that whole combination that helped keep his blood pressure in check, and he didn't need to depend on the medication. And I thought this was kind of great, which we always kept on hand, but if we used it once a month, it was a lot. And this is such a valid point here. She says, I think our mistake, otherwise as a society, is trying to address blood pressure or any illness with a pill of any kind. A lot has to change, lifestyle and diet. And you know what? Soul really supports this. And rather than finding the perfect product to address blood pressure, she looks for the right program that will address the entire body. I talk about how the body is intelligence, and this is what she's saying. If we give it the right tools, it will take us to health, but it must be a complete program. What we do, what we eat, and what we take. And of course, being consistent. And I agree 1,000% with Lydia here. My most successful clients, and I could be saying this very exact words, are those that address their imbalances and are staying consistently on a program and don't simply try to address it by playing catch up. And really, I think it's because people haven't been taught a different way. It is very important to get a long term change by addressing the whole body and taking care of addressing the root of the issue. This is why you guys will always see me come back for the most part and talk about the Bella Health Program, and that being the vital. We talked about its benefit for kidney health. We talked about the Vertizymes when it came to breaking down protein effectively. Probiotic, actually the red reishi, has been shown to do amazing things for helping to support kidney health, and that's in there as well. Cinnamate, because of how you can help to balance blood sugar. Remember when the indicators that when someone has diabetes is the frequent urination. So we're talking about helping to balance blood sugar, which means we're lessening some of the load on the kidneys. Everyone knows how I believe in adding in the longevity because importance of D3. Well, we also have some plants added in there that are very good at supporting kidney health as well. And then we also talked about the Soul Complete. So you can see this is a whole program rather than just picking one item to try and target and get some relief. Let's look at long-term relief as opposed to getting relief for a couple months and then going right back to it and saying it didn't work. Well, it does work. Consistency makes a difference, and getting to the root of the issue makes along with lifestyle change, makes the rest of the difference. So our quote to end with tonight is, if you change nothing, nothing will change. Kind of like the ripples in the water here. If you notice just that movement from the duck, even just paddling one time creates that ripple and it goes out and impacts more and more things. But if the duck just sits there and there's no movement, no ripples, then nothing's changing. The duck goes nowhere. Pick something and make a choice to have a paradigm shift and address the roots and get back in charge of your health instead of letting your health dictate your life. Next week, we will be looking at adaptogens and heart health. And as always, this is every Monday night at 6:30. And I hope that you guys will join us then.